guys, Rain here, and welcome to Don't Toy With Me. It is a visual horror novel that deals with dark themes and features emotional abuse and manipulation, body horror, imagery of non-human characters, and murder/violence. If you want to download the game for yourself, it will be linked below. It's on itch.io, and yeah, let's just get started. Oh. Light spills through the tiny windows of the dollhouse, catching the flecks of dust in the air. Though it's early in the morning, the inhabitants have been awake for a while now. It is to be expected that toys won't have quite the same grasp on time as you do. Well, isn't she adorable? Whisker, you have hardly touched your tea. Or least of all, she's an antique. You could at least pretend to drink it since I went to the trouble of making it. The stuffed rabbit sits at the table, a frown on his embroidered face. It turns his head away from the cup in defiance. Geez, you're so moody lately. I know it's not terribly fun to be stuck alone here with me, but you are not doing yourself any favors by being difficult. Don't you think we should be making the best of it? I really wish you'd let me cut you a mouse so you could try and hold a conversation. Whisker? Whisker wasn't too fond of that, huh? The rabbit scurries off across the wooden floor and down the stairs. Dahlia sighs. It was only a suggestion. I'm not going to force you. I suppose that's another cup down the drain. Dahlia gathers up the teacup and saucer from the floor to take down to the kitchen. Though Whisker has been in the house for a while with her now, he has always been terribly skittish. The kitchen holds the rest of the tea set, always ready for a tea party that thus far hadn't come to fruition. The rabbit wasn't about to sit at the table with her. Thinking back on it, she has trouble recalling who it was that used to sit there with her. You're listening right now, aren't you? I'm fairly certain I can hear you out there. Should I tap or silence? You know what, I'ma tap. The sound of large fingers gently tapping nails on the outside of the house answer her question. She smiles softly. There you are. Maybe you could join me? I'm not sure how you would fit in here with me, but I would welcome you anyway. Perhaps you could let me outside? I would sit on the roof to be closer to you. You know better than to give her away on that. The cracks on her face tell the story of a previous excursion outside of the house. She is met with silence. Her smile holds patiently for all of 10 seconds. Fine, then I won't be entertaining you either. If the urge to be reasonable finds you, I'll be reading in my room. She storms out of the kitchen and up the stairs. You decide to give her some time to cool off while you leave to run an errand. You have a feeling she'll lighten up when you retrieve your new purchase. The dollhouse is a little bit cleaner than it was this morning. Dahlia has spent some time dusting and picking up. This is an adorable room. She prefers her home spotless, or at least she used to. Now it seems she settles for clean enough, and she never bothers with the attic anymore. She idly straightens the decorations atop her wardrobe in her room. A heavy thump quickly undoes this. Oh! She turns looking around in surprise. Hesitantly, she peers out of her room door and down the stairs. Whisker is already in the foyer investigating. What is that? She descends the stairs, delicate joints clicking with each step. She finds the large box taking up the entryway. Oh my, a present? Her eyes lighten up with interest, running her fingers over the wooden exterior. There's a quirk to her brow when she realizes it's cheap compressed wood. Something new then? Whisker presses his ear to the side of the box. He hops back away when he hears a cough from inside, hiding behind Dahlia. What is it? She searches around the lid, unable to quite pull it up. She finally finds the hook on the other side and undoes it from the small peg that holds the lid shut. She practically throws the lid open, a bright smile on her face. Oh, Whisker, look! A new friend! Oh, was that a clown? Ah, is he dead? I'm not dead. Oh, good! The clown in the box hangs emptily when Dahlia drags him out the box by his shirt. She's surprised to find that he's mostly fabric with little structure underneath. His sleeves are half empty, tied at the seams with a ruffle. All in all, his head is solid, but his body is plush. Hello, new friend. My name is Dahlia, and this is my friend Whisker. The rabbit's ears lie back, looking none too friendly. He keeps his distance. I'm sorry for all the excitement. It's just been so long since we had a new toy. Well, not had. Obviously, we don't have you. What are you actually? Oh, where on earth are my manners? What do you go by, friend? No, I don't go by friend. And I'm a puppet. My name is Huxley. Huxley, how nice. And a puppet. Why, that does explain a lot. Oh, let me take you to a chair. I shouldn't be holding you the whole time like a little bear. Aw, he's adorable. I like his little design. With Huxley comfortably situated in his chair at the table, Dahlia sits opposite of him. She is all smiles, even though the clown looks so sullen. Here, have some tea. Oh, can you hold the cup? Have a silly straw. Thanks. Oh, he looks so sad. Despite the things, the clown doesn't make any move to drink the tea. Are you alright, Huxley? I don't expect you to be quite as excited as me, but you look so upset. I'm not upset, but what's there to be excited for? You've taken me out of the box and here I am, to sit in another box. The only difference is that I'm not the only one in this box. Aha! But that makes all the difference, doesn't it? I do enjoy watching Whisker, but he's not one for conversation. And now this won't be such a lonely place. What do you want to do? I'll show you that there's fun to have here. I don't want anything. Thanks. Oh. Awkward. Well, surely that isn't true. Everyone wants something. Do you want some quiet? We could lie on the floor and watch the star projector, if that's what you like to do. No, we are trying to find something you want to do. Do you want to tell jokes? You are a clown. If you'd like. Did you hear about the clown car that crashed out in the middle of nowhere? There were 30 casualties. I don't think I get that one. I'll try again. What do you get when you boil a clown? I don't think it's an appropriate joke, okay. A laughing stock. Boo! Very comedic, Huxley. Haha, oh, that's so funny. It was alright. Don't give him all the credit. Clown soup! I bet we'll have polka dots too. Oh, let me try. A clown named Pagliacci goes to see a therapist. Oh, darn it. I messed it up. Heh. You're a funny lady, Dahlia. Oh, you smiled. Oh, don't stop just because I pointed it out. I'll start getting the idea you're determined to sulk. Sorry. I just haven't told any jokes in a while. No audience unless I got brought out just for that. So I stopped. What's the point? The point of telling jokes? The point of coming up with jokes if I only get to tell them when someone gives me the time of day. I don't like being a puppet. The only choice I get is to not participate. So I started doing that, opting out. Oh, so you just don't do anything? Nothing I don't want to do. Which I don't want to do much lately, so... Yeah, kind of. He looks uncomfortable at the direction of the conversation. It is clear he hasn't had to explain himself at length before, especially when so withdrawn from everything. Dahlia, on the other hand, is clearly mulling this idea over in her head. Do you think you'd want to do more if you could get around better on your own? Since then you could go where you like and not have to wait for someone to bring you there? That would make things easier for me. No offense, but I don't think I want you stitching anything onto me if that's what you're thinking. Huh? Why? Are you just assuming I'd be bad at it? I choose to keep my answer to myself. Oh. Basically he's saying, don't touch me. Thanks. That wasn't what I was thinking about anyway. Sure it wasn't. Wait here for just a moment. I'll try not to go anywhere. I mean, he kinda can't, unfortunately. Dahlia leaves the kitchen, hurrying off back to the foyer. She stands near the box Huxley arrived in and looks up, her gaze aimless as though she isn't quite sure of where to look. Hello up there? I imagine you are still watching us. Yes? Thank you for sending me a new friend. I know I've asked for one a lot, but I'm afraid I need to ask for something else. I'm sorry for asking so soon after receiving this gift. But it isn't for me, so I hope that might make up for it. So, do you think perhaps you could give me something to help Huxley move? Perhaps wheels or a wooden skeleton? Sure, I mean that's the only option. So let's help. You suppose there couldn't be any harm in it? If the puppet is really so broken that I can't even keep her company, it doesn't do much good, does it? It will have to be a modification so simple that even toys can figure it out, though. You have an idea. Surely with only a single item to work with, she'll understand what needs to be done. You place your gift in the box Huxley had arrived in. Dahlia looks on in a surprise as she sees a large spring in the box. Oh! Yes, this is perfect, thank you so much. She eagerly plucks her prize from the container, needing both hands to carry it. It's as long as her legs at the very least. Seeing as it is a bit unwieldy, perhaps it isn't the best idea to bring it near the tea set. She ends up leaving it behind and fetching Huxley instead. It takes the pair a few minutes to figure out the logistics of the attachment, but in the end, it is sewn securely to the opening of Huxley's body. He takes a moment to get used to balancing on the spring. Oh, he's like a jack-in-the-box. That's kind of cool. Ah, this is certainly different. I think I'm getting the hang of it though. The stairs will take some practice. That's what the railing is for, at least until you get better at jumping. Perhaps soon you'll be able to leap from the landing to the upper doorway in one go. She laughs at the idea, but he seems to be very seriously considering it. Perhaps so. Everything else is upstairs, right? What about the back room? More stairs, unfortunately. That's the doorway to the attic. And what's up there? More stairs? The ceiling's silly. And some old odds and ends. Some things just don't really have a place in the house. But they still have to go somewhere. Perhaps we could eventually convert it into a bedroom for you. Your cruelty knows no bounds, Lady Dahlia. Making a man able to jump, then putting him in a room with a low ceiling? Ah, I didn't mean... I know, I'm only teasing you. He's smiling, that is so cute. Well, not really, it looks kinda creepy actually. For someone who kept wanting me to lighten up, you sure aren't good at recognizing a joke. Oh, don't tease me. But I'm happy to see you are in much better spirits. I am. I never had something like this. Though, is this really okay? What do you mean? Nothing. I didn't like being a puppet, so I don't know why I should feel odd about becoming something else. Like a jack-in-the-box? I would never. Heh, I mean to say, I'm not getting back in that box. Of course not, but you will have to sleep somewhere. I suppose the box can stay here in the foyer. We can make it into a table or use it as a chest. I just don't want to have to carry it up the attic, huh? Something seems weird about the attic though, guys. Like, is she hiding something in the attic? I don't know, honestly. I'm not accusing her of anything, it just seems weird about the attic thing. Whatever you want to do with it is not mine. But yeah, I guess this makes me a jack out of the box. Which I also never do. Dahlia tilts her head in confusion once more. Huxley spares her any explanation of the joke. I'm actually feeling a little fidgety now. I think I want to give the stairs a try. Will you show me the rest of the house if I make it up? Of course, and if you can, I'll carry you up. I'll make it up even if I have to drag myself up. Just, maybe go stand out of the way just in case. With some time and effort and a couple of paintings knocked off the wall, Huxley manages to make his way up the stairs. Dahlia feels perhaps a few new cracks were added to her face from the worry, with which she wanted when he twice spilled backwards down the stairs. Luckily, the clown was not so delicate as she was. He bounced like rubber. Perhaps that's what he was made of. The thought remains in her mind that she'll have to remind her new friend that she is much more fragile than he is, but for now, she hurries up after him and congratulate him and show him around the upper floor. The linen closet isn't exactly a room, but it's important to show regardless. The bathroom is of slightly more importance, of course, though perhaps less important than it would have been in the real house. Huxley notes a lingering smell of paint and powders in the bathroom. It must be where Dahlia touches up her face. And lastly, Dahlia brings him to her bedroom. I don't think I ever had anyone in here before. Well, aside from Whisker. You don't think so? Where is that little guy anyway? I kind of expected him to join us for the tour. Oh, don't mind him, he's so jumpy these days. Couldn't even tell you why. Perhaps he's less confident without other plush animals around him. Did there used to be more? Speaking of the plush, it's kind of weird that he's like running off and not with them. Like, it seems like he's scared of something. But honestly, I don't know. We just started. I can't seem to recall. I know I knew a teddy bear once. Perhaps he was a friend of Whisker's? She frowns, brows furrowed in concentration. Huxley watches on with concern. Is remembering things a regular problem for you, Dahlia? In a sense, I suppose it is. Very little changes in the house, so the days tend to blend together. If I have trouble remembering something, it'd be hard-pressed to know whether it's due to forgetfulness or because it happened longer ago than I realized. I've recently started writing in my journal again though, so that should help with the more recent days. I wasn't sure where it was for a while, so I'll have to really make good use of it now that I have it again. Yeah? Sounds like a plan. And if I get curious, I could always read up on what I missed before I get here. Absolutely not. I keep it locked, so you couldn't even if you wanted to. Just another joke, Dahlia.
I want to read your diary.
You'd better not. Now, what was I going to show you in here? Oh, I wanted to show you here in my wardrobe. I keep my dresses here, but it's full of many games as well. You can feel free to help yourself to any of them if you find yourself looking for something to play. I have my bookcase in here as well. I have all the classics. Pride and Prejudice, A Little Princess, Hans Christian Andersen's Fairy Tales collection? Quite the collection, Dahlia. Are you teasing me again? No, they're just very you. Huh? Except that one. The complete short stories of Edgar Allan Poe. A little bit of a gothic at heart, are you? I did say I love the classics. What about you, Mr. Know-It-All? You're making yourself sound rather well-read. I have just heard my share of bedtime stories in my day. His face. And the others I have heard a little of in homework form. Ugh. I have to say, it hasn't made me the most bookish kind of guy. Except maybe joke books. Well, in your words, that's very you. There's no shame in it, but I warn you that you will eventually want to do some reading. Beggars can't be choosers for entertainment in this house. Though, I'd be happy to read to you. Uh-huh, I can see it now. I'll let you know if I have any trouble falling asleep here, then maybe I could use it. It is refreshing to see Dahlia looking so lively again after so much time spent by herself in the dollhouse. She's had her problems in the past game along with other toys, but the clown seems to be a good choice. Entertaining as a gesture should be, but not so energetic that he would impose upon her lifestyle. She considers herself to be an elegant lady after all, and some wild fool would certainly find themselves met with friction when it came to living with her. Hopefully they continue to get along. In the following days, they seem to adjust well enough. They play with their games and have their tea together. Even Whisker seems to be more at ease with Huxley there. It's a point of concern in some ways. Hopefully the rabbit doesn't come to be too affectionate with the clown. But for now, it is happy days within the dollhouse. You find yourself watching them regularly. Today they have gathered in the attic to improve Huxley's sleeping area. I'm sorry we don't have a better place to keep a lot of these things, though I'm happy the bed is finally seeing some use. It's not too bad, the spiders have been keeping me company at night.
Spiders?
She seems so shocked by it. Well, probably just little mites. I have wondered about some of the things you keep up here though. Don't tell me he's about to investigate things, cause that's where, things go south. Don't just change the subject after mentioning spiders. Are there really spiders up here? Huh, no, I was only joking, Dahlia. Ah, you better be horrible creatures. Now, what were you wondering about? Well, I know some of these things seem out of place here. The paintings, sure, they make sense for you to have. But there are some old brass knickknacks in here that don't really look like any of your other stuff. Like these big brass horse head. It's a knight. But you are right, it doesn't look familiar. There's some old clothing up here. Oh, I really haven't cleaned up here in some time, but I didn't think there was anything but spare decor items. What sort of clothing is it? Well, I found some bow ties, like the formal kind, not like my ribbon. And no offense to our dearest Lady Dahlia, but they wouldn't really suit you. Do they belong to Whisker? No, Whisker doesn't really have any belongings to speak of. Whisker shakes his head to confirm this. He only has the little bed in my room and a few little toys of his own. Though half the time he seems to prefer playing with balled up paper more than the things I make for him. That really honestly sounds like my cats. Like they play with like those little strip things that you tie up your bread with. Oh my gosh, he goes crazy over that, and empty toilet paper rolls. Oh my goodness. One doll's trash is a rabbit's treasure. I'm almost certain that's not how that phrase goes. Well, in any case, they seem like men's clothes to me. Though, I did see some old hairbrushes and things as well. Not ones that match your sets though. Do you think some of this stuff was left from whoever lived in the house before you? I suppose that's possible, though it seems stranger to me that the owner wouldn't remove such things before placing me here. Maybe the owner hoped for a more masculine doll. I'm sure I'm exactly what they were hoping for. They have had me this long after all. Well, the owner doesn't seem to be interested in doing much to your home regardless, so maybe they didn't bother with this. Or they were using your storage for their extra things. Oh, I hadn't considered that. It may get quiet at times, but that doesn't mean they lack interest. They love me. And I love them too. You two should get a room then. Or I guess a house. Oh hush, there's no need to be jealous, Huxley. I'm sure they love you too. You wouldn't be living here if they didn't find something appealing about you. It must have been my sparkling personality then. Perhaps it was. Right. Well, I don't have any doubts that they are just tossing me in here for your sake if they really love you so much. How do you mean? Well, you have told me a few times just how lonely it is here without someone to have conversations with. And here I am. Well, I am happy you are here, but I doubt it's just for me. It's all the same to me. So long as they leave me be, I'm just fine. Oh, that's just silly, Huxley. I know you'd enjoy their attention if you got it. Doubt it. Such a sourpuss. I suppose we'll find out the next time they decide to check in on us regardless. I'll be holding my breath until then. The conversation comes to a stop as the pair go back to cleaning, but it leaves you with some thinking to do. It has been a little time since you initially purchased the clown, so you have had a little time to get to know more about him. More so than you could have known taking him off of the shelf. At this point, oh gosh, they're both good. Like, I feel like Huxley is definitely winning me over. It seems like he's getting more comfortable living here. So, I don't know. Like, do I have to pick favorites? Can't, like, I like them all equally? I'm gonna say Dahlia's still the favorite. You still feel Huxley is better suited as something of a distraction for Dahlia. Flawed little thing that she is, you wouldn't have kept her this long if you didn't have some attachment to her. Especially with how poorly she gets along with other toys. She's quite lucky that even though she's so much trouble, you have quite the sentimental view of her. Hopefully the clown learns his place with time and stops bringing down the mood for her. If not, you could always make some adjustments. Oh gosh, I hope we don't do anything with the clown. But nothing can last forever. It's clear enough the honeymoon phase is coming to an end by the argument you find already in progress when you check on the house today. Huxley, you have picked out our game 3 times in a row. We are going to play what I want to play today. You literally offered to let me choose. You can't say you don't care what we play and then take it back because you didn't like what I picked. I mean, true, he does have a point. I didn't know you were going to pick the worst one when I said that. The worst one? You seemed fine with it the other day. But fine, let's play this one instead. You like Parlor Detective, don't you? Are you serious? I'm just more in the mood for a word game. So you had a specific game in mind. I didn't realize which one I wanted until now. It's not as though I planned to argue with you. Could've fooled me. You're so sour, Huxley. I'll get the game set up while you're over there sulking. You'll feel better once we start playing. He seems so mad right now. Hey Whisker, what do you make of this? The rabbit looks up from his place on the little pet bed on the floor. He seems uneasy at being addressed in the middle of their tiff. Whisker doesn't even talk, Huxley. I know you are playing some joke. Whisker, do you think Dahlia already started the game without me? I'm still setting it up. Because I'm starting to think we are playing charades or ESP tester. Or maybe just mind games. Oh gosh, she looks so mad now. Don't think expecting you to take me at my word requires you to be a psychic. The only funny thing about this is how silly you're acting over some board games. Yeah, well maybe I'm not in the mood for your kind of game. So you are pitching a fit over not getting your way? Ha, that's rich. No. If you just said what you wanted from the beginning, I wouldn't care. Honestly, if you wanted to watch paint dry and you were serious about it, that'd be fine with me. But I'd rather drink paint than get jerked around. Then enjoy the taste of your new colors. I'm not in the mood to play anymore. Dahlia shoves the little leather tabs and the game board back into the box she had been removing them from. Even Huxley looked a bit surprised at this reaction, but primarily, he looks irritated. It's odd to see him so worked up. Though, he has been more lively since Dahlia helped him get back on his feet. It is rare to see him feel so strongly about anything. The general state he carries himself with leaves little room for such emotional outbursts. Not beyond a sarcastic remark anyway. So seeing him like this, it's a little worrisome. Once the game is put away, Dahlia moves to push him along towards the door, meeting resistance when she does. What are you doing? We are not going to be playing anything now, so I want some time to myself. Get out of my room. How mature of you, Miss Dahlia. Really befitting a lady of your caliber. Out! The clown finally exits the room and she slams the door behind him. With him gone, she sighs and presses her back to the door. It takes her a few moments, but she gathers herself and straightens out her dress, and then her hair. When she looks around and sees Whisker is no longer in the room either, she sits down on her bed and takes up her diary and pen from her dresser. I swear, I can't count on anyone to be civil. She begins to write. You decide to leave her to her own personal writing. The next morning, you decide to check in on the dollhouse to make sure things have cooled off from the day before. Dahlia is waiting in the kitchen, presumably for the other toys. She seems to be lost in thought. The distant look leaves her face when Huxley enters the room. You can tell by his expression he's wary of what she might say to him. Presumably, they haven't spoken since their fight. It's probably good that you're here to watch them, just in case. Good morning, Dahlia. His tone is flat, cautious perhaps. Good morning, Huxley. Dahlia's greeting chipper, her tone sing-song as though she doesn't even recall the fight before. The clown is caught off guard for a moment by this, but regains his composure. I was just waiting to make breakfast. I assume Whisker won't be joining us, but that's alright. I'll at least out some leftovers for him. What will we be having today? You're leaving it to me to choose? Oh, sorry, I wasn't asking you. Yikes. She must mean you then. Let's have some crepes. You reach into the kitchen with them and carefully pinch the little cookbook up in the cupboard. Between the tips of your fingers, Huxley's eyes wide, and you can see him tense his jaw as soon as your hand enters the dollhouse. His whole body is wound tight as though in preparation to flee the room. Dahlia, on the other hand, smiles as her dark eyes watch you take the book from the room. You grab one of your tools to help with moving the pages, a thin pair of tweezers you usually use for toy repairs. You just tear the pages out if you try to handle them yourself. You carefully select the recipe, then hold the book in the tweezers to keep it open as you return it to the room. Dahlia reaches up to accept the book out of the tool's grip. The puppet shows a silver of teeth between his lips, but doesn't speak. You take your hand back out as soon as the item's passed off. You aren't sure what he's thinking, but you can tell he is very upset by your intrusion upon the toy's space. Oh, it has been a long time since I have made crepes. I have some wonderfully juicy strawberries in the fridge as well. They'll be perfect for this. Huxley, do you prefer yours with chocolate sauce or just whipped cream? I'll have it however you're making yours. Ah. How can you tell when they are here anyway? You ask so readily. Oh, I ask every day. You usually sleep in, though, Mr. Lazy Bones. Lazy no bones? Yeah, well, I was having trouble sleeping, so I'm up early. Oh, let's have some chamomile tea before bed tonight then. I'm sure you'll sleep well then. Yeah. Well, we'll worry about that tonight though. For now, I have crepes to make. You're going to love them, I promise. But since they are rather troublesome to make, I'd like you to help as well. Of course, I can't cook though. I'll be doing all the cooking. I just want you to slice the strawberries for me. And do be careful with the knife. It's interesting because it seems like she's forgotten about the whole argument, which is kind of weird. You watch as Dahlia starts to prepare her whipped cream and crepe batter. He periodically stops to correct Huxley on his cutting technique. Each time he seems a little more discouraged, but he doesn't remark on it. It's probably for the best. You watch until Dahlia starts putting together the crepes, lovingly rolled into one cone, shapes, and filled with cream and fruit. At some point, she recut some of Huxley's strawberry slices into hearts to top them with. Things seem peaceful again, so you leave them to their culinary work. Hopefully the morning together helps them put that argument the night before behind them. Your hopes that the toys wouldn't need much more supervision to keep getting along turn out to be a little too optimistic. You find yourself regularly checking in on them when you hear arguments breaking out in the dollhouse. Despite Huxley's originally harsh demeanor toward Dahlia, when she would snap at him, you find he is becoming more and more upset by these developments. You never really took him for the emotional type. You're not sure what to make of it, but Dahlia is convinced that he was only crocodile tears for her. Even if so, You find yourself worried about the state of the dollhouse if they continue to bicker this way. You only brought Huxley in as a way to keep her entertained and to provide her some company that would actually talk to her, but you're starting to wonder if that was the right decision. The mood in the house has become unhospitable, and you sometimes find yourself considering separating the two by adding an extra wall to divide the dollhouse. But that would hardly be a practical solution. Like every other day, you find yourself checking on the dollhouse when it becomes too quiet. You need to see what the two inside are up to. You see Dahlia is currently having some tea in the kitchen by herself. She seems fairly content, but you did hear another fight earlier. You check the attic for Huxley next, expecting to find him moping by himself after another rough day. But he's not there. What is he doing in there? You watch in silence. Whisker rests on the pet bed in the room, and his head turns to look at the clown as he crosses the room. Huxley brings an arm up to his face and mimes a shushing noise. A little difficult to do without fingers, but the rabbit seems to understand. Oh no, he's gonna look at the diary! No, that's the one thing you don't want to do! He lays his head back down and Huxley continues across the room. He lingers at the bookshelf, bending down to examine the spine of each entry there. He checks the board games as well. Not finding what he's looking for, he heads to the dresser next. His eyes wander over the basket of flowers and the clutter of small desk items Dahlia keeps there. A little notepad with a list of chores and repairs to be made sits on top. He leaves through this, but drops it back in place once he sees how mundane its contents are. His lips tighten in discomfort. He slowly opens the first drawer of the dresser. He shuts it much more quickly than he opened it. At least you can be sure he wasn't looking for the contents of that one. He opens the next one, and this time reaches inside. Dahlia's diary. Oh my gosh, no! No! Oh, this is the turning point, isn't it? He closes the drawer and leaves the room, heading right back up to the attic with his findings. Whisker gives a worried frown from his position on the pet bed. This is a bad idea. I know, Whisker, it really is a bad idea. The lock on the diary is a minor obstacle. He simply uses a small knife in the kitchen to cut it, as close to where it attaches to the book as possible. It can just be glued back into place. Huxley opens the book and sets it out on one of the dusty boxes so that he can more easily read it and turn the pages. His touch is careful, aware of how suspicious it would be for any of the diary's pages to be ripped. Though, he notices right away some of the older ones are missing. You originally had taken those out for Dahlia, but now you are glad you did for an entirely different reason. You never thought about other toy snooping. Dear Diary, I can't seem to find my old journal, so we'll be starting fresh. It is a lovely day for such fresh starts. Rose finished another painting today for the foyer. The results are beautiful. She has such a talent with paint. I wish that I could make anything half as lovely. I can at least say I provide something in return since I'm working on a new dress for her. I do hope that she likes it. Dear Diary, I've asked for some flowers to put some arrangements around the house. Since Rose paints so many flowers, I'm sure she would like some for her still lifes as well. I'm not sure why I'm bothering though with how difficult she's been lately. It seems like she disagrees with me just for the sake of it. Even on the littlest thing, I'm not going to say anything to her about it, but I wish she would stop regardless. Dear Diary, honestly, I think she's jealous of me. It's the only thing I can think of. Rose used to be so sweet, but now it's like walking on glass to be around her. Or is it eggshells? Either way, she needs to stop picking fights with me. Our owner is only excited by her because she's something new enough to still be novelty. If she thinks that means she's better than me, her wooden head is as empty as it sounds when the wind blows through the house. Okay, Dahlia is roasting her. A crude drawing of the doll's head with wind blowing in one ear out the other adorns the next page. A couple after that are removed. I'm terribly lonely here. I think the owner sent Rose away due to my complaints. I haven't seen her in days and they won't answer me as to her whereabouts. Or has it been weeks? I'm not sure anymore. I suppose it can't have been days since I'm having difficulty remembering exactly when we last spoke, even picturing her face. I wish she had left behind some self-portraits. I miss her dearly. Huxley frowns and skips ahead past many pages of mundane daily goings on around the empty house. They range from cheerfully recountings of craft projects to desperate letters to no one expounding on her loneliness. Dear Diary, a new home with new faces. I was able to bring a few things with me, but it feels quite frightening all the same. Luckily, Lucille has been a very gracious host. She shares everything with me, with an eagerness that tells me she has been as lonely as I have been in the past years. Though I don't enjoy sleeping in the attic, it's rather airy up here. I feel terribly out of place. Maybe if I wish hard enough, I'll return to the home I know. Huxley eyes the old bed frame that now holds his own bed. He had just assumed Dahlia had always lived here, and it was her home. Dear Diary, Lucille is not what I thought she was. She's so cruel when she wants to be. Today we sat on the roof together to see the stars. She pushed me. The owner doesn't believe me. They replaced the arm that was damaged, but my face can't quite be restored. My eye. I feel so broken beyond that though. Perhaps I'm just very unlucky, but nothing ever quite works out in my favor. If I can convince the owner of what Lucille did, perhaps they'll actually do something. But until then, I think I'll just be avoiding her. Least I say, something that would further prevent any sort of peaceful resolution. Okay, here's another one. She deserved it. They wouldn't have done that if she didn't. Wait, she deserved what? The puppet stares at the pages, chewing his lip and looking deep in thought. He leaves through the next quiet stage of Dahlia's life until he finds another name. After so long, the owner has gifted me new friends. Theodore and Whisker are a delightful little pair. I would never say so to them, but I'm a little disappointed that the owner didn't think to bring me a doll like myself. But Theodore is still a kindly gentleman, even if he's rather fuzzy. And Whisker knows so many tricks, such an agile little thing. I'm sure we are going to get along grandly. This section seems to be missing the most pages. There are areas where even Dahlia writes about her frustration with her diary being tampered with and how often she finds herself confused about past events and other toys discussed with her. Eventually, Huxley finds in the newer pages that Theodore's name simply isn't mentioned again, not even in a memoir fashion as when Dahlia lamented the loss of her initial friend. Huxley finds the more recent entries as he seeks the point where he initially arrived. Dear Diary, finally a friend! A new friend who might be as sad as me, but at least he speaks. At least it's not only me now. At least I can look at his face and recognize him. I started to think perhaps the owner hated me. They would give me gifts but never let me out anymore. I know they have other toys. I can see them from the window working on their projects. Only just barely. I don't always understand what I'm seeing, but I know that that's what they're working with. Unknowable things, but knowable faces. If Huxley hadn't arrived, I don't know what I would have done. I was at my wit's end, but finally things are normal again. Uh-oh, this is when they get into fights. Huxley is a curious fellow. I rather appreciate the humor he brings to the house, even if I wish Whisker wouldn't look at him like that. Whisker ignores me when he can. Oh, why does Whisker ignore her? I'm happy to share my books and my time with Huxley. I don't know if he understands our situation quite the same way that I do, but he likely already knows that there won't be more toys added to this home after him. Unless one of us were to be replaced, of course. But I wouldn't let that happen. Wouldn't let either of us be replaced or wouldn't let herself be replaced? The rest of this is just about things we have done together, though she does kind of talk about me like she thinks I'm stupid or something. Huxley frowns and finally closes the diary. This was a waste of time. And now I have to fix the strap too. I remember seeing some glue in Dahlia's scrapbooking supplies. I'll just use that. He leaves the attic to return the book to its original place in the bedroom. Oh. Oh. Dahlia's already there. Oh no. Why are you acting like that, Whisker? You funny little bunny. You never tried to play with my things before. Now, give my hairbrush back. Come on. Come. Huh? Huxley tries to haphazardly to hide the book behind his loose sleeves. Oh. Hey, Dahlia. Hello, Huxley. Did you need something? No, it was just really quiet up in the attic. Oh. Isn't it always, though? She smiles, amused by what sounds to her like a very silly excuse to come find her. I was just brushing my hair until Whisker stole my brush. Silly little thing. Whisker tenses as Dahlia reaches for him. He squeaks as she picks him up by the scruff. Dahlia, be careful. That looks really uncomfortable for him. Oh, he's just being dramatic. He always is when I pick him up. She tugs on the brush and Whisker's paws. Huxley finally catches on to why the rabbit is acting so strange. He tries to inch closer to the dresser while Dahlia is occupied with Whisker. The book slides right... Oh! Oh god. The book slides right out of his grip and onto the floor when he tries to lean over toward the dresser. Oh gosh. She's going to flip. Like, she's gonna freaking flip. Dahlia drops Whisker, her eyes trailing right down to where her diary lies on the floor. She looks stunned. But only for a moment. What are you doing? Dahlia, That's my private writing. What's wrong with you? Coming into my room, stealing my things? You horrible creature. I had a reason, okay? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. What reason could you possibly have for rifling through my drawers and violating my privacy? I share everything with you, Huxley. I should at least have my own thoughts to myself. I wanted to know what was going on in your head. You've been getting really mean with me lately. So I thought I'd like to see what I was doing wrong, if it was me or you, or if I was doing something that was upsetting you. I should have talked to you about it. Oh gosh, she is not taking this well, guys. You're accusing me of being mean when you have stolen from me? And just how have I mistreated you, Huxley? This is my home and I'm sharing it with you. I make you food, I play games with you, I even fixed you. I wasn't broken, you know. And that is part of it. You do things for me, but then you act like I owe you. Like you are counting how many favors you have given me to turn in later. Plus, you get so angry about everything. If it doesn't go your way, I don't want to feel like I have to watch every little thing I say or you'll get upset. You have an awful attitude, Huxley. What am I supposed to say? Being upset by your rude behavior isn't unreasonable. Disagreeing with you isn't rude. So is stealing not rude either? I already apologized. And if the things I do for you make you feel so awful, then I don't think I should be doing anything for you anymore. You ingrate, you are being ridiculous about this. Coming from a clown. Maybe you are right, maybe you weren't broken before, like I thought. Maybe you were just made wrong in the first place. Ooh. Ouch. Dahlia cups her hands around her mouth and looks up at the ceiling. You can take your spring back, we don't want it anymore. Dahlia! Get rid of it, get out of my house. Stop it. Huxley shoves Dahlia backwards, causing her to stumble. She trips over Whisker, who scurries to try to get out of the way. There's a quiet crack when she hits the ground. Huxley stares at her, with her eyes wide. I didn't mean... You decide you have seen enough of this. Wait! You scoop the clown out of the dollhouse as Dahlia picks herself back up. You can see her limp as she steps forward. Likely some minor leg damage, you'll have to fix that. As for Huxley, clearly giving him equal footing with Dahlia in the home was a mistake. Oh no! You carefully tear out the sections of fabric that keep the spring in place in the puppet's body. Once it's done, you set the metal piece aside. It's what she asked for after all, and in this case, you are inclined to agree with her. Oh no! You gently place Huxley back into the dollhouse. His breathing is heavy and his body trembles as he lies on the floor, unwilling to get back up just yet. He's so sensitive about any sort of contact with you. Pitiful, really. Oh, he's crying. Oh my gosh. This is horrible. I don't like this. I don't like how he's being treated. Dahlia brushes off her dress and frowns down at him on the ground. He looks back at her with glossy eyes. Dahlia. Huxley's expression betrays the level of hurt he's feeling. Even beyond the physical change, this is clearly an incredibly deep betrayal in his eyes. What? You got by without it before? But since you think my input doesn't matter anymore, there's no reason to keep using the thing I decided to give you, right? You'll figure something out all by yourself. Unless you decide to take back what you said. And plead with me for forgiveness. Oh no, this is so foul. Huxley's expression darkens, and he goes quiet. The silence hangs thickly in the air, stifling the mood in the room. Whisker looks uneasy despite the look not being directed at him. He's quick to leave the room. Well? Dahlia, if you really think you are right about this, your face is the only thing that's cracked. Ooh! Ooh! Ouch! The doll's eyes widen and she shoots the clown an infuriated look. Is that so? I guess I'll be taking the attic back as well. You came with the room anyway, didn't you? You can sleep in that box. How about you give me your bed instead, since you'll have to sleep in mine if you want to keep me out of it. Ooh. You are so ridiculous. I thought we were friends, but your jealousy clearly is too much for you to overcome. It's such a pity. Why can't you just play nicely, Huxley? I was playing nice. That was my mistake. Ooh. Just watch yourself if you're thinking about getting mean with me, Harley Quinn. You know, our other friend would be quick to punish you if you raised a hand to me. Ooh. Huxley's eyes search the room, passing over the ceiling, the windows. He knows you're watching, which he should. You don't want him getting any ideas, considering you already had to confiscate the spring. And just like that, he seems to lose all energy. You're right. It's pointless. Mm-hmm. So why don't you just go crawling in your box? Huxley says nothing as he leaves the room, having to pull himself along the floor. When he reaches the stairs, Whisker at least helps him along. Once he's sure Dahlia can't see. Dahlia, on the other hand, is looking pleased with herself despite the edge of sourness still affecting her mood. Honestly, can you believe the nerve of him? I do so much for him and he decides to treat me like this in my own home? Clearly he forgot whose house this is. I shouldn't have expected much sense from a clown anyway. Thank you for looking out for me. I knew you would. We have been through so much together. I love you, my dear. Oh, I feel so horrible. When you check on Huxley, he really has returned to his box, crawled up inside, much like when you first put him in the house. You imagine that he'll get over his mood with enough time. Hopefully he comes back out with the new attitude as well. You expected a little better when you chose him, honestly. In any case, you are glad that the little problem has been taken care of. Later in the evening, a surprisingly loud sound draws your attention back to the dollhouse. You check the foyer first. The large mirror near the attic door remains intact. Oh no, Huxley's not in the box? Huxley doesn't seem to be in the box anymore. He must have snuck back to the attic to sleep. Uh-oh. He's not in the attic either. It appears the picture frame in this room also wasn't the source of the noise, as it's still in one piece. You already saw into the kitchen from the entryway, and it was completely dark. So that leaves. You decide to check Dahlia's room. Though it is unlikely, she does have decorative window it would be possible to break, as well as various glass knickknacks. It seems like she's awake as well, as you see a dark shape on her bed. Closer to the bed, you realize there is something lying on the floor. The brass night piece? You are putting off the inevitable. You finally move the curtains on Dahlia's bed to look in on her. Oh my god. What? He freaking smashed her face, guys. You're here already. Oh my god. I kind of expected to see you in the morning. Whoopsies. I guess it's a little awkward for you, isn't it? You look at Dahlia's remains on the bed. One of her glass eyes rests on the comforter. You painstakingly replicate her original one after she was first damaged. Now there isn't even a face to house it. She's only porcelain, but somehow the sight of her head completely disfigured like this still feels horribly cruel. You're probably still looking at her, right? You spoiled her, you know. It's pretty awful of you to put me in this position. But maybe worse for her. I can't imagine someone gets to be in her position without being enabled in some ways. Maybe that's why she couldn't get along with anyone before me. Oh, but hey, you have a new favorite now, right? Oh no, he put her face on him. Oh my gosh. This is insane. Even if you hate me, I'm the only one now. Or do you only like pretty little dolls? Oh, I didn't do anything to Whisker. I haven't seen him since I got the chess piece from the attic. What do you care anyway? If you liked him, you wouldn't have let Dahlia treat him like a pet. Doesn't matter now. I hope he got out. You're probably going to break me now anyway, right? Right, he doesn't have to see that. Or see her. Okay guys, so I saved. So we can pick both options, I think. But you know what? I'm gonna keep him. I'm gonna see if that like changes the way he feels. It is well and truly tempting to pick the puppet up and pop his little sculpted head right off his shoulders. But what would be the point of that? You have nothing left, just an empty dollhouse. You're not sure how you managed to lose control of the situation so quickly. When you enabled her, hello? To be honest, when I chose her, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. If I knew it was gonna turn out like this, I wouldn't have chose her, if that makes sense. But I don't know what would have happened if I chose him. Like maybe he would have, you know, also perished too. I don't know. You were only away for a little while. You shouldn't have to watch the dollhouse every second of every day and night to avoid these kinds of disasters. You can never stop it when it happened with Dahlia. Of course you couldn't stop it when it happened to her either. And then maybe it is on you for not maintaining a better balance in the household. You can't be sure. You leave the dollhouse alone for now. You may come back to check on Huxley and start the arduous task of attempting to build a connection with him. It shouldn't be impossible, even if he is the difficult type. Dahlia was on the difficult type too. It took a lot of work to get her to do as you wanted and involved a lot of compromising. Maybe too much compromising. If you hope to ever introduce new toys to the dollhouse again, you'll have to hope you have learned from your mistakes with her. The clown caught you off guard this time, but you'll soon be in control once more. Oh, ending what? 1B? Your new favorite. Wow, there's multiple endings, what the heck? So yeah, that'll be it from this video. This game is honestly freaking amazing. And it's free. Like, what the heck? Honestly, this game should be like $5 or something. But yeah, my thoughts, I did not expect him to, you know, bash her face open. I actually really like both of the characters, and I like the design of the game. I like the music. The music was so good. Well, it is so good, not was. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.